Chapter 23, This is a clever police officer. The man in the golden chain necklace was slowly helped up by his men, who nervously asked, "Brother Min, how should we explain this to Brother Bao? Tonight, he asked us to send that guy back covered in bruises and cuts, so young Master Yun can see it when that officer gets back to the station and feel assured. Otherwise, he's going to think that we just took the money but didn't do anything." The man in the chain necklace felt a warm sensation in his nostrils. He wiped his nose, knowing it was bleeding without having to take a look. He cursed, "This is a tough character. Tell Brother Bao that this guy might only yield to a softer approach and can't be tamed by force. Also, the area he's patrolling is the South Gate Gang's territory. Give them a heads up, it's a free favor we can do for them." Su Cheng went to the seaside seafood stall and bought an energy drink. He felt much more refreshed after gulping the bottle down in one go, and he did need a boost to get through the rest of the night shift. He felt awesome after the fight just now, but it also allowed him to see what level his strength dropped to. At least in terms of power, speed, and reaction speed, he fell from A to C, and the drop was pretty significant. With this huge gap, his brain was still able to quickly observe and make judgments, but his body movements just couldn't keep up. Just now, if it weren't for his subconscious outburst which still couldn't be explained, that butterfly knife would have probably been shoved inside his back. But also, Su Cheng felt something different with his ears. They became extremely sensitive, and he didn't know why that was the case. In addition, his body's reaction to his subconscious mind also made Su Cheng wonder. "Looks like I need to get a checkup at the hospital now. It's probably the after effects of the serum inside my body," Su Cheng muttered to himself. Just as he was contemplating, young Master Lin and the others drove over in their sports car and stopped in front of him. "Wanna go for a drink?" "I'm on duty, not interested," Su Cheng replied. Young Master Lin's little brother, Lin Dong, jumped off the car and looked at Su Cheng full of interest. "Teach me how to fight." Su Cheng was too lazy to pay attention to this group of people. This area was right by the seaside, and it was known as the expensive seafood street. Su Cheng's salary couldn't afford the meal and drinks here. Besides, he wasn't interested as well, since he was still on duty and needed to patrol the area. Just at that moment, 3 black Audi A6s drove over and 4 guys got out. They walked past Lin and the others, saying, "Southgate Gang is handling business, please step away." Upon hearing that they were from Southgate, young Master Lin subconsciously pulled his little bro Lin Dong back and stepped to the side. The 4 men in suits arrived before Su Cheng and said, "Our manager wants to meet you, Mr. Su. Please." Then, they pointed at a cafe by the ocean not far from them. Before Su Cheng could reply, that blonde-haired teen Lin Dong frowned and said, "Don't go." Those men immediately looked at him, and one even lifted his arm, about to slap the kid, when Su Cheng grabbed his arm, smiling and saying, "Don't fuss over what a kid is saying, I will just go with you guys. I know I would probably be brought to the local boss no matter where I patrol." Then, Su Cheng let go of that man's hand and started walking towards the open-air cafe across the street. The guy from Southgate rubbed his arm in surprise. "What happened? This guy's power is a bit overbearing, be careful." The guy rubbing his arm looked at Su Cheng's back and said, "No wonder the guys from Northgate couldn't deal with him. This guy is something." Su Cheng went over the cafe and was led to a man in a cotton-padded tunic wearing a bead bracelet and a jade necklace. He was very focused on making tea. After Su Cheng opened the bell curtain, the man looked up and smiled at him, "Have a seat." "It's fine," Su Cheng replied. "I'm in my uniform, and sitting down means that I'm possibly colluding with you guys. Not dumb." The man smiled, surprised that Su Cheng would be so vigilant. Then, his face turned dark and gloomy. "Do you look down on us?" His implication was basically interrogating whether Su Cheng looked down on dwellers of the Black Society. Su Cheng said, "I'm a police officer." The man laughed, "Yeah, an impulsive officer." He took a sip of his own tea and said afterwards, "It's a good thing for young people to be motivated to do things, but they shouldn't be so aggressive and headstrong. It's like the people under me, I hope they can have a good future, but I also don't want them to be too ambitious since our generation doesn't want to retire so early. So, those young people with ambition do live a tougher life." He looked at Su Cheng. "Do you understand what I mean?" Su Cheng didn't reply, only looking at him. The man drank the rest of the tea and poured himself another. Seeing that Su Cheng didn't answer him, he thought Su Cheng didn't understand what he was saying, so he continued, I hope that you will do what you should do, and not stick your nose in things that are none of your business. Someone asked me to talk to you, and I don't want to give you a hard time. Although you are an officer, you arrested someone you shouldn't have arrested. The younger generation, what's there that can't be solved by just having a civil conversation? No need to act on emotions. Hearing him talk for a while, Su Cheng faintly smiled, went over, took a cup, and drank the tea. Then he asked, would you like to make a deal with me first? The man frowned, his eyes on Su Cheng. I will slap you right now, then pay for your medical expenses plus 300,000 yuan for mental damage. Would you take the deal? Su Cheng carried a seemingly harmless smile on his face. The man's face immediately turned gloomy. You wouldn't be happy too, right? Same here. When we are having a civil conversation, you are equal in my eyes. But if you don't respect me, then I'm sorry, I can only treat you like a wild animal. And what's the best way to show a wild beast who's higher on the food chain? Give it a beating. Beat it fiercely until it's scared of you. Su Cheng turned around and said as he faced the ocean, back at the military camp, my instructor told us that we should be patient with the people and teach them about the law, but against people that are stubborn, we should stop violence with violence. The man's hand slammed onto the table, his eyes exuding a dangerous aura. Don't you know whose territory you are on? Don't forget one thing. Su Cheng calmly turned around and said, when I followed your men in here, at least 24 people saw me coming in to meet you in my uniform. If something were to happen to me, not to mention you, the whole street's business will get shut down. Su Cheng heavily pressed both hands onto the coffee table as well, leaning over so that his face was just inches apart from the man and saying, this is the power of the country. Su Cheng finished, and after a sneer, he turned around and prepared to leave. The 4 men were ready to stop him, but the man by the table with a gloomy face lifted his arm, gesturing his men to let him leave. After Su Cheng left, the 4 men from South Gate looked at their manager. Just letting him go like that? The manager, he's a smart policeman.